Did you think we've seen all the loops? Well, think again. We have two more types of loops to discuss. The first one is the for loop. The for loop in Java is a control flow statement that allows a program to execute a block of code multiple times with a different value for a loop variable each time. And this is what the syntax looks like. And this can be a bit intimidating, so let's go over it bit by bit. So it starts with the word for, sure, but then. The initialization section is executed once at the beginning of the for loop. This is typically used to declare and initialize a loop variable, or even variables, which will be used to control the loop's execution. The condition is a Boolean expression that's evaluated before each iteration of the loop. If the condition is true, the code inside the for loop will be executed. If the condition is false, the loop will terminate and the program will continue executing the code that follows the for loop. The for loop will continue to execute until the condition becomes false. At that point, the loop will terminate and the program will continue executing the code that follows the for loop. The iteration section is executed at the end of each iteration. After the code inside the loops block has been executed, this is typically used to update the loops variable, for example to increment or decrement its value. Here's an example of a for loop that prints the number 1 to 10. In this example, the loop variable I is initialized to a value of 1 in the initialization section. The condition is set to I smaller than or equal to 10, so the loop will continue to execute as long as the value of I is less than or equal to 10. The iteration section is set to I++, which means that the value of I will be incremented by 1 at the end of each iteration. As a result, in this example, the for loop will execute 10 times, with the value of 1 for I on the first iteration, a value of 2 on the second iteration, and so on up to a value of 10 on the final iteration. Each time the loop executes, the current value of I will be printed to the console. For loops are a construct that I use a lot when I'm coding. This control flow statement is very convenient to iterate over a sequence of values or to execute a block of code a fixed number of times. They are very often used in combination with arrays or other data structures to perform operations on each element in a sequence, especially when we also need to index for it. In the next video, we're going to have a look at some practical examples with the for loop.